The Indian American community is 5.1 million strong, growing in number, growing in economic might, and growing in political representation. What are their priorities, their challenges, and are they getting a space or equal space in American political landscape? That's a question I put forth to a very power-packed panel and group of Indian Americans celebrating Diwali, but also welcoming NDTV into their homes as we speak. Sir, thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to NDTV. Let me start by asking you that there's a lot of space now, political space being given to Indian Americans, a community that's really grown in all aspects, whether it's economic, political, or sheer numbers. What, according to you, are the top 2 or 3 concerns of the community?
Great question. First of all, welcome. Welcome to our home. It is really an honor to have such a beautiful community. It's actually a representation of a lot of the folks here. Livingston has grown in leaps and bounds to have Indian community. And for that reason, I was able to come on the town council seat and as part of the government. And from that vantage point, I can say that there are a few concerns, but also there are lots of good vibes for Indian Americans. I would say that one concern would be representation, to make sure that we are represented. We come from the largest democracy in the world to the oldest democracy in the world. Democracy is part of our lives. And we actually know the system. We can actually work through. We are not afraid of raising our hand, which is what I did a few years ago, and say, it's fine, let me get into the public life. But in doing so, sometimes you do have to make room for yourself, which is one concern, which is to say that, yes, we want to make room for ourselves. Let's continue to work towards it. So that makes it not a concern, but an opportunity, I would say. It's less of a concern growing, as the time goes by. Yes. It's an opportunity where a lot of people are able to get onto the seats.
Also bring in some of the other members, and I come back to the question with which I started with, which is that the top 2 priorities that would be for the Indian American community here, at a time when the perception is that they are essentially being wooed by both the Democrats and the Republicans. Let me ask that to the pretty lady in the blue outfit about the fact that I would say it's a good time to be an Indian American in politics right now here, right? Everybody is wooing this group, isn't it?
I think it's always a good time to be an Indian American. I mean, I'm proud of my Indian heritage. I love being American as well as celebrating Diwali on this beautiful day, the Festival of Lights. But in general, I do think that what we're trying to look for is representation, like Ketan was saying. And that's just the main thing, that we need to be represented. We're not just a minority, but we're people who need to be represented. And that's the main issue. And I personally don't think that we see that in Trump. And I think Kamala Harris, not only does she represent our interest, but us as people. Okay. So I think that is the main difference kind of between Trump and Kamala Harris. So that's what my real opinion is about this.
Okay. What about you? What do you think about the fact that is the community is getting adequate political representation right now, incommensurate with its contribution, its growth, its potential? Do you see that?
At this time, I see a lot of representatives coming in, but I really don't see still the enough of everything yet. There's still on a lot of things we are pretty much behind when it comes to our support.
So what would you want as a member of the Indian American community for the next 3 to 4 years, maybe for the next presidential election when we would have this chat? What would you want as the top 2 or 3 things to be addressed by whichever of the 2 political parties?
Yeah, I guess more and more people should come and stand to show the representation.
Okay.
I guess that should be the top priority. Show up everywhere and be part of the politics.